Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this panel on AI and industrial robots. I am Mehdi Hossein. I am the head of the Machinery and Equipment Unit at the European Commission, and I will have the pleasure to moderate this panel. So this panel is about AI and industrial robots because, as just introduced this morning by Kerstin Jorna, the Director General of DG GROW at the European Commission, the Commission is here because here in Hanover at the Hanover Messe, it's all about, state-of-the-art technology for industry. So we thought that this topic is really, at the core of this year Messe, and that's why we want to speak about it. Of course, you will tell us that we know robots for a long time, but AI will give a new dimension to robots, because with AI we can use a wealth of data. We can help robots that for a long time have been considered to be dumb machines to start to look at things, to interact with the environment, to see, to feel, and some would even say to think. So it's really important that we address this issue because it will certainly revolutionize the way industry works, but also the uses. So today we have the pleasure to have three speakers. But before giving the floor to the speaker, I would like also to say what the EU is doing for robots and for AI. Basically, one of the goals of the EU is also to have a single market where robots using AI can be used safely and also do respect the EU fundamental democratic value. And that's why we have now, and the EU was the first jurisdiction to adopt AI Act to be sure that EU democratic value remain at the core, but also in parallel, we have the new machinery regulation that will also give a framework to industry to continue to be able to innovate and to have safe machine, ensuring at the same time the legal certainty. I am now going to invite our three speakers that come from three different perspectives to introduce themselves for 2 minutes each, and I will first give the floor to Emanuela.
Thank you, Mehdi. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. I'm Emanuela Girardi. I'm the president of ADRA. ADRA is the AI Data and Robotics Association and is the private partner of the European Commission in the AI Data and Robotics Public-Private Partnership, which was founded 2-3 years ago to develop the European ecosystem of innovation around AI data and robotics. Thank you.
Thank you, Emanuela. I will now give the floor to Thomas.
Yes, okay, you can hear me perfect. So many thanks for being here. I'm with Siemens, as you can see. I'm the company is called a fellow, taking care for technology aspects inside the company around manufacturing. So I'm a manufacturing person. Happy to be here. For sure, Hanover Fair is always a place where I have to be with a manufacturing background, so I take it as close as I can. Okay. This is internal and external and very active on different initiatives. I'm leading BDVA. It's a former public-private partnership regarding data spaces, data integration, data economy, and also regarding initiatives which are close by, like manufacturing data spaces, manufacturing topics. So rest we will discuss later. Happy to be here.
Thank you, and I will now ask Malte to introduce himself.
Good morning. Is that okay? Can you hear me okay? Good. I will scream into the microphone. Good Good morning, my name is Malte Lohan. I am leading the European organization that represents all of the technologies that you can see here in Hanover. We are called Organ, Europe's Technology Industries. And our job is to work with MEDI and all the counterparts of the European Commission, the European Parliament, the other European political leaders to help make the regulatory framework in which all of us in the industry have to operate as fit for purpose as it can be.
Thank you, Malte. I propose we now go directly to our first topic, and this topic is really about what can we expect in terms of new application with AI industrial robots. So in other terms, what can we expect in terms of new markets? What kind of new market will this new technology bring? This time I will start with Thomas.
And hope the mic is okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Also, the background was a little bit tricky with the first mic. You know, let's start with an example. I think that coming from industry, from manufacturing industry, is always good to have an example what is this and what are the possibilities which we have. When you're looking on a production, when you have a robot in the production, where you have to produce some kind of product consisting of bulk material, you know housing, plugs or something else. And you can avoid the pre-sorting of this bulk material, and the robot is detecting by himself, or the system in the background, or the AI-based robot, detecting what is in the box, taking the right place, put it on the production line, which is immediately saving a lot of money and time. You know, have an echo, but nevertheless, go ahead. I hope you can hear me. So, meaning when you can calculate, let's say in time, avoiding the pre-sorting of the material to put it on the production line, you put it out of the box. Where you have different topics. So next one, okay. Every good things are three attempts. So sorry for the failure. You can avoid really the pre-sorting and avoiding really the timing with the pre-sorting. When you have a robot system which are learning which material is, which is put them on the production line, this saves time and money. And when you now calculate this and say, okay, I can do this programming my robot system by myself. But when you only have maybe 60 to 100 different topics which you have to solve, you are in billions or millions of calculation steps. And with a robotic system, with an AI-based robotic system, you can train it with a model in the background and really saving time also for the commissioning of the robots. This is, let's say, an example which you can see. By the way, I've put this on a manufacturing example, but you can have the same when you have, some kind of sorting of goods, some sorting of something which you maybe put in. Wow, this was quite difficult. But it's also valid for other associations. Also, meaning after this example, the flexibility, the resilience. We have different topics which you have. The integration in the complete life cycle. I think also the title was regarding industrial metaverse, to really have the complete overview was ongoing in the topic. To do sustainability, right at the beginning, sustainability is topic. You're using AI, you're using the models, you're saving a lot of times, like I mentioned before in the production example. This is where, let's say, AI-based robotics, besides the automation of the robotic system, will help really in increases, in improving, let's say, the processes. Yeah, for the things, like I said before, more autonomy, more flexibility, more resilience also depending, because we have not to program step by step, it's interacting by itself. And for sure, you can calculate a lot regarding sustainability terms.
Thank you. We'll now give the floor to Emanuela.
Thank you, and I will just add something on what Thomas just explained very well. So I first start from a higher level because I think that AI, and especially generative AI, they are continuing advancing today, and we can really expect industrial robots robots to become, like Thomas just said, more adaptable, flexible, and autonomous. So today, AI-enabled robot will be able to sort of perceive and understand their environment at a deeper level, and this increased awareness, this increased autonomies will open a whole set a new of transformative applications. I'll give you some idea. So for instance, we can see a higher collaboration and also safer collaboration between AI-enabled robots and human worker in the product line, like Thomas just said. And then I also think that we can see these robots that will be able to assemble very complex products and also very customized products. So we have some sort of unstructured tasks that were unthinkable before, like beam pickings or like assembly of complex product that will really allow us to use these self-adaptable robots to the changes of the product line and also to products that can be more customized, mass customized, really in the factory. So I think that this is really something that thanks to AI and to generative AI we will see. And then Thomas also mentioned the data. So if we think about predictive maintenance, for instance, today with generative AI inside the robots, we'll be able to collect more data and to enhance this data analysis to another level, and also to be able to have more precise, more effective robot, because we will have also more stopover as well. So I think that if we think about all these kind of tasks, that before, we were just thinking about making some tasks autonomous. Now we can think also about some tasks that are more complex, but also cognitive tasks that can really be done by robots today, thanks to AI and generative AI. So I think that overall we will see really lots of improvement thanks to AI and generative AI and robotics.
Thank you, Emanuela, and I will now give the floor to Malte.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, to me, there are three levels on which I see generative AI changing fundamentally the way that industrial robots are used in the industry. First level is the interaction between human and machine. So going from a very complex and very time-intensive process of operating a machine to one where you interact with a machine almost as if you're interacting with another human being, speaking language, in the future even pointing and gestures. So the interaction between the two will become much easier and will unleash the second big change, which I see in terms of innovation. Because the less time humans have to spend operating the machine, controlling the production lines, the more they can use their creative potential for better purposes. It's a way of democratizing AI so that we can all benefit much more easily from the benefits of AI, and we can focus our attention on the more creative, innovative aspects of our working industry. And that gives the third big dimension for breakthrough as a result of generative AI, which is on the sustainability dimension. Because we know how important technologies, including industrial AI, are to meeting our climate and circular economy objectives. We know that these technologies are here. 86% of emissions globally can be cut with existing technologies, but those technologies are not yet in the market. It's hard to make them commercially successful. The business case is not there. And with the advances of generative AI, we're going to radically cut the cost of some of those technologies coming into the market. And so I think we're going to see a huge advance also in terms of the ability of technologies that were struggling to be commercially viable, becoming commercially viable and helping us to reduce these emissions that we know are the biggest challenge that is facing our generation.
Thank you. Maybe just to wrap up on this first point, I think that not only there is a consensus on the benefits from AI, be it to help workers to increase safety, to increase productivity, but as also underlined by Malte, there is also a dimension on sustainability that we should not forget, and that could indeed, as you mentioned, bring very tangible and I would say quick result. Yes.
Maybe to add one topic which you just mentioned, remember when you're saying regarding sustainability and in the intro also the DG General mentioned battery. When you have today a battery, some kind of the recycling part, you maybe don't know how the battery is used or what is inside. Is there still some power inside, or we have to take care for this? So you can destruct the battery in a, let's say, in learning AI, how doing the destruction of the battery, what material is used, how is this built together, and so on. And when you have the complete knowledge about this, and now I'm coming back, I remember you mentioned, I think 96%, but what's a battery, and everybody from us knowing that battery is highly depending on rare material, which is not so much available in our area, but you can recover, recycle above 90% of the material, which again, when you're thinking about the production of new batteries, you are reducing the needs for additional new material, rare material, new rare material. This is also an example where AI wanted to hit, to have some additional example which you mentioned regarding the sustainability, also regarding the circular economy, what we can do with AI and the robotic system in this case.
Thank you. So this brings us to our second question. So we have seen what we can expect in terms of new application, new market, but now the question is where the EU industry is, because we know that it's going to be a global race. We are not alone. And so the question here to the three panelists is what will it take to the EU industry to continue to be, among the front runner in this field? And I will now ask Malte to start.
Yeah, my answer on this is very simple. We are world class in Europe in making the robots, but we are not world class in installing the robots. We are again in a record year of new industrial robots being installed across the world. 500,000 robots are being installed across the world. That is higher than it has ever been. But the vast majority of those industrial robots are being installed in Asia. In fact, Asia is installing 5 times as many robots as we are installing here in Europe. 10 years ago, they were installing twice as much. Now they're installing 5 times as much as we are installing in Europe. There's a little bit of silver lining, which is we are still ahead of the Americas, ahead of the US, of Canada, of Mexico, and other parts of the Americas. But clearly, the front runner when it comes to installing the robots is Asia, and China is far ahead of everyone else. We also know that in terms of uptake of artificial intelligence in European businesses, we are not where we want to be. We have a target for 2030 of the EU that 75% of businesses in Europe are using AI. The latest forecast of the EU is that we will reach 20%. So we need to do much better in terms of installing the robots and in terms of encouraging businesses to use AI in their day-to-day operations than what we have managed to do so far.
Thank you. Emanuela?
Okay, so I will add to what Malte just said. So in Europe, as Malte said, we have a strong manufacturing base and we have this very good leading position in industrial automation and in robots. So what can we do to make sure that we keep this leadership? So I agree with what Malte said, but I think that especially if we think about the future, we need to invest in AI and in bringing especially generative AI into robotics. And we need to bring European generative AI into robotics. Because today, it's true that we have a very lower uptake at the moment, around 20, maybe, if I think about big companies, 50% for AI. But most of these companies, they're using mainly American generative AI model. and they are developed, of course, trained on the, like, I mean, Thomas knows very well for the data, they're trained on American data and on American values at the moment. So what we need to do is to make sure that we are able to develop European generative AI model trained on European culture, on European trustworthy AI vision. And then, of course, we need to have them tailored to the industrial and robotics use cases. This, I think, is really, the next level. So what can we do? I mean, I know that we're very, not very weak, but we're weak probably in installing. But what we are very good in Europe is we're very good in research, in AI, in data and robotics. We need to bridge this gap between research and commercialization, because in this we're not so good, really, to bring in the excellence of research, and most of our talents, unfortunately, they're also, escaping, going to the US or China. So we need to make sure that we're able to bring what is the excellence of the research into the industry, into the society, so it's also a cultural point. To do this, we need to invest more in public-private partnership. So like in ADRA, that is the AI Data and Robotic Private Partnership, we're really investing in generative AI and robotics, and we're trying to bridge this gap between research and industry, and really working together to make sure that we are able, and with the Commission, of course, to make sure that we are able to develop generative AI model for European robotics, to make sure that we can lead again in robotics and keep our leadership position.
Thank you. Thomas?
Okay, a lot was said before, but only yeah, to second was Emanuela and Malte said before. I think first of all it was mentioned in the beginning from the Director General about the importance of the business, the position of the business, and so on. Fine. You mentioned also, Malte said we are in let's say factory outfitters, machine tool building industry. We should not forget that in Europe we are often in a leading role worldwide. Also coming back to this topic. You see this here also when you're going over the fair, or when you're going on the EMO for the machine tool building industry, to see really what possibilities we have. We have, and you said it correctly, Emanuela rightly, we have regarding technology, AI research, a very good position on the technology part. But we are weak in scaling this up. You mentioned some kind of numbers based on the robotics. You know all how we can establish new business model, which is depending on this also to get some kind of. You mentioned the number about the coverage of robotic system in per country where we are. Since we have really to improve. That's where we are not yet so good. This has several reasons, but as said before, we have a good basis from the business side, from technology, but the scaling up, also the scaling up to small and medium-sized enterprise is a factory, is a providing of technology where we have really to think about how we can do this better. The positive thing is we started a lot of activities. You know, when you're looking, because robots, AI, Gen AI, training, you have to have data, you are absolutely right. There's regarding data economy, a lot of joint activities starting in Germany, or worldwide it's also called manufacturing X, with the different flavors in the process, in the discrete manufacturing, in the automotive industry. We have the basis for this. Now we have to look how we get access to the data. That's also related to IP topics, how we're setting up this data ecosystem, federated data ecosystem, and how we then scale it up into business-wise, what Malte is doing. Also let's say the ingredients we have. Also when you're looking, you mentioned the AI data and robotics initiative, but also when you're looking, because you have to calculate also the data, the models, when you're looking at the HPC joint undertaking, also with the seventh pillar regarding AI factory. We have the ingredients, but now we have to bring our arms around and to bring it, let's say, onto the street, which we have to do together.
maybe just a follow-up question for three of you. I think Malte said that we have a problem because we are the first one to produce this AI robot, but not, we are lacking in terms of installation. This was also mentioned by Thomas that we need to scale up. So my question is that, is it that we do have the technology, but there is some reluctance from the user to go with this solution? How do you see that? How can we address these issues?
I think a reluctance from the user side, meaning who are using AI or robots technology or AI-based robots technology, what the theme of this panel is. I think it is not, because everybody is knowing or has a feeling how with AI, with generative AI, we can improve existing production processes and offerings. I mentioned this before regarding a production line where you have not to sort before the material that you build together. You can using AI and make it more efficient and saving money, which at the end industry is then driving. You mentioned the CO2 footprint example, I mentioned the battery example. As meaning a reluctance, I don't see it. Everybody's aware is doing this. I think it's more some kind of you know, in German, I don't know as in other countries is, in Germany around, I think 24% of the 24% of the GDP is depending to manufacturing, roughly, and 80 to 90% is covered from small and medium-sized enterprises. So we have really a topic where Malte, you know, Orgalim together with VDMA, really how we can scale it up, how we can bring it to the market. I think that's a topic. And the other issue is regarding the data, how we can, and you know, a small portion of the available data is used for this. We can increase this. But there's a lot of topics to do. I think we are not bad, to be honest, but we have to improve.
Thank you. Emanuela, what is your take on that?
I think that the main thing that we are needing is AI skills. So our companies, they're not using AI because we don't have AI skills at the moment. They know that they need to run AI project. They know that they can improve the productivity, they can reduce the cost, but they don't know from where to start, because most of our company in Europe, they are not even SMEs, they are small companies really, like from 1 to 10 employees. And they really don't have the skills. And I think that before Malte was mentioning in the digital decade, we have the goal by 2030 of 85% of uptake of AI by companies, 75, sorry, but we have also the goal of 85% of digital skill for all European citizens. And at the moment, we're around 42%. So we really need to invest a lot in creating a culture of AI in Europe and to teach AI skills to everybody. So in school, and then in a job, so upskill and reskill of people, and then also of citizens, because we will live in an AI society and we need everybody to be able to enjoy and to actively participate in this society. So I think that education and skills is really the key, to bring AI into our society.
Yeah, so I think one of the key factors that is missing in Europe is the best framework conditions for companies to be investing in deploying AI and industrial robots. And I think what we are missing is scale. We need to make more use of the European single market. This is a market of 500 million citizens, but it is fragmented. It remains fragmented, and I think that is the first thing we have to fix. Make better use of the single market. The second is cost. It is a big decision for small companies and very small companies to make the jump into digitalization, into AI. We need to bring down the costs that are pushing down profit margins in Europe. And one of the factors that is a big cost for European businesses is red tape, is bureaucracy, is regulatory burden, and this is one of the big topics for the next 5 years. Europe needs to bring down the costs linked to regulation. And the third is capital, access to capital. We have too little private funding flowing into the industry in Europe. There's a lot of wealth in Europe, but that wealth is being exported to other parts of the world. We need to make better use of getting that wealth to flow into investments by companies. And Europe and the European Union has a big role to play there in terms of incentivizing investment with the right policy instruments so that we can make better use of our capital here in Europe in order to flow into AI and industrial robots.
Thank you. I think it's a perfect. Thank you. I think it's a perfect transition for the next question. Anyway, we will have the next question soon on the screen, and the next question is about the challenges. I think we already went into the topic. We already went into the topic about the challenges, what it will take. Voilà. So to have this successful deployment, and I think Malte, you already give a hint at this, because what is also important, you mentioned it, but in a few days, weeks from now, we are going to have the European election. It's going to be a major change because there will be soon a new elected European Parliament, and also reminder to go to vote, very important. And we are going also to have a new college, a new commission. So it's really also the time. So for this third and last question, I would not only ask you to once again say what you see as the biggest challenges that will in order to allow a successful deployment of AI, but also I would like also you to start with what is your wish list for this new parliament, this new commission for the next 5 years. We start with Thomas.
So I have the pleasure to open the wish list. I will not touch again the funding, and let's say also when you're going in funded project, let's say what we have to do, which is a lot, and which let's say also is not so attractive, especially for small and medium-sized enterprises, because they have not the offices, and I can speak about this taking care, for example, in my company. But when you are speaking, you mentioned this with 10, 15 or 20 people or 200, they have not a back office taking care of this. That's the first wish list. The second wish list is, I will try to make it 3 wishes. The second wish list is, we have spoken a little bit about also about regulation, which is on the one side positive because it can give also a legal framework for companies. Think about Data Act, but on the other side, it has to be complete and on a solid base. Also regarding the second wish is I address only one topic, to look at the regulation side, to work further on, to make it more innovation and adaptable, also for small and medium-sized enterprises. Because here I see really a wave are coming to us where we have to look at it. Because this gives us on the other side also some kind of opportunity. Let's say, because when you have, I think you mentioned this before, that the AI have also to be accepted from the society. When you are knowing that you are in a safe area, then you are more open to this technology, which help us again when we are using this. Also, meaning really when we get this regulation part adaptable and used, I think is also a benefit. So and last but not least, there's a lot of topics ongoing, but for me always, how we can really make a scaling up in that business. This is a really on the scaling up in the broad sense of companies, which or institutes which we have to address. This is with first wish, third wish, where we have to think about have we not some kind of transfer project or scaling up projects or however or Shima, which we doing this. And last but not least, building up, let's say, some kind of holistic view, because in this way we are could be strong, how we can really make a system architecture, how the things are fitting together. Now it was 4 wishes, but hopefully describing a little bit what we have in mind.
Thank you. Emanuela, what are your wishes?
Oh, I have a long, very long wish list, but since I don't have that much time, I will start with 4, 5, maybe 5. Okay, the first one, I think are the ones that are already included in the innovation package that European Commission presented last January. So are all the concept of the AI factory. There will be probably 5 or 6 AI factory distributed in Europe, and there we need access to large, high-quality data set, because otherwise there is no way we can develop and train generative AI in Europe. And then also, European data. And we need industrial European data as well, so we have to make them available. Then talents. We need skills, people with skills in AI, and this we don't have enough. We really need to make sure that we have them in Europe and that they stay in Europe. So we have to make Europe more attractive. To make Europe more attractive, we need to have also like computing power, and this will be in the AI factory with the one-stop shop for AI startup, so that they can access to computing power to train their model. And then I think that this is the most important thing. We need capital, but we really need like scale capital to scale, massive capital, because the innovation package itself provides 4 billion euro. Just to give you an idea, Amazon is investing, just announced that invested 4 billion only in Anthropic, which one American startup that developed the Claude model. So we cannot have 4 billion for the whole of Europe when Amazon is investing 4 million in one single startup. It cannot happen. This is not the way to build it. And this brings me to the last point, the 5th, which I think is the most important one, which is we need to start collaborating more. There is lots of fragmentation, like Malte said. There are several initiatives who have limited resources, and we are distributing them and fragmenting them in several initiatives. So we need to have stronger coordination, first of all, and stronger collaboration among the initiatives, a stronger focus, just very few initiatives, but big initiative, ambitious, that can really scale, that can really compete with the big American and Chinese initiative. And I think that this is the most important point. A couple of days ago, Mr. Draghi presented, and also Mr. Letta, they presented their report on how to make Europe competitive again. And these are all the things that they wrote. They need to scale up. They need to stop competing among, industry. I know that we need to compete among companies, but really, to find a way to compete less, and also among member states, and really to develop initiatives that are European initiatives, because this is the only way, like Malte said, to be able to access this huge, amazing single market that we have.
A final thought on the role of regulation, and very specific to AI in industry and to robotics. The EU is going through a dramatic experiment, which is to regulate much more deeply than anywhere else in the world the use of data, the use of artificial intelligence, and machinery. We have the most advanced prescriptive regulatory framework in the world, which has just been adopted in the last years in Europe. And I say this is an experiment because no one has ever tried this before. And of course, there is a potential upside to this in terms of setting the standards that the rest of the world will follow, and being the first ones to do this gives us a head start. The risk is it's too much. It's too heavy. It's too much of a burden, and the companies will go elsewhere to innovate. And I want to be very specific to the Commission with one wish, which is we need stability and predictability in how these rules are going to be enforced, especially when we talk about generative AI in industrial applications. The AI Act, this new European law on artificial intelligence, is not clear enough. It needs to be complemented with some additional guidelines in the policy jargon. And this has been promised by the EU, that we will have guidelines that explain how the new AI rules are going to be applied. We need those. And I'm worried that currently this is not sufficiently high on the agenda. I know this is not Mehdi's part of the Commission, but another part of the Commission which is responsible. But when we talk about industrial AI and robotics, this is my message to Mehdi and all the other colleagues from the EU institutions. Help us get this predictability and certainty that we need so that we can invest in this new generation of artificial intelligence in Europe without the uncertainty that is currently in the legislation.
I hope this one, yes, this one works. So thank you. I will just would like to wrap very quickly to wrap up. So I think on the first question about the new market, I think there is a consensus that robots using AI can bring a lot in terms of not only new market, but also improve the safety of the worker, develop new application. And also they can also contribute to sustainability. We had two examples with the CO2 reduction, but also with the battery. So it can really help in terms of achieving a higher level of safety, of course having new market, but also being able to reduce CO2 emission. On the question 2, I think what is important to remember is that EU is very good with producing the AI robots, but less with installing them. So we have an issue with the deployment. We have to see, and one of the reasons is that maybe in the EU companies there is also a lack of AI skills. So I think the skills is very important. And I think also what was very important, and that was underlined by Emanuela, is that we have good with the machines, but so far our machine, they use non-EU AI solution. So we have also to be more strong on the AI models themselves, because it's important if we want that our AI robots also reflect EU values and not non-EU values. That's important. And now with regards to the third question about the challenges, and it's also the wish list for this new parliament that we will have, and also new commission. I understand there are still a lot to invest, and I think you gave Emanuela a very telling figure about what some foreign company can invest, which is almost what is invested as EU level. So I think we certainly need to scale up investment. And the other point that I think is that, of course, we will need to have much more collaborative approach to have a less fragmented market. I think there was a mention also of data, and I also note also the concern expressed by industry about the need that it's important to have the framework, but we also have to make sure that the framework that we will have for the machinery for AI is also fit for purpose, and that it does not lead to an increase of the regulatory cost. And on that, at least I can tell Malte that, and I think it was in the speech of President von der Leyen yesterday, this commission has been keen and will continue, I think, and also in the next commission, to look at reducing the burden to the maximum extent. Voila, so I would like, we are right on time. I would like to thank again our panelists, and thank you also for taking part to this first panel on the morning. Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good day. Have a good message.